Hello, everyone, and welcome to Legendary Lunacy Episode 4. If this is your first time with us, thank you for joining us. If you're new to the channel, also, uh, you might want to know that we are trying to do a new episode every day of the month of October. We're up to day 4. Also, if you're not new, if this is your second, third, or fourth time to the channel, thank you for coming on back. I'm glad to have you here. If you're not new to the channel, if this is your second, third, or fourth episode with us, you'll notice I put back on the old mask. The problem is I have not had a chance to go out and get some new, any of the anti-fog stuff for my mask. And it is hard to try and read through fogged up mask without my glasses, because my glasses fog up even faster with that thing on. So I'm trying to figure out a way to make that work. So until then, I'll just wear the old mask for now, even though it's flaking all over the place. Another thing I want to say thank you for is we've been gaining subscribers every day. I started out with, I believe, 11 subscribers. Actually, it might have even been less. And we're already up to 20, which completely blew my mind. I was not expecting to gain any subscribers until this channel got quite a bit bigger, like at least the end of the month for sure. But we've gotten several views, lots of likes. Well, maybe not lots of likes, but several views, lots of sharing, and several subscriptions. So I'm just very grateful for all of you. For today's episode, we're going to try and keep it simple. I've had a bit of a long week, and we're getting ready to start up on the closing weekend of a theater show my girlfriend and I are in. Oh, excuse me. So we're going to try and keep it simple with tonight's episode. Tonight's episode is going to be Halloween specials I remember from cartoons I used to watch as a kid. Now, this list is going to be incomplete. It's not going to be every Halloween episode I've ever seen. And it's not even going to be all of my favorite Halloween episodes. These are just the ones that I could think of that came to mind pretty quickly from some of my favorite shows. And some that I didn't care for as much, but like still remember watching or seeing bits and pieces of. So, without further ado, this is in no specific order. I'm not going to start like my favorites and then go backwards or vice versa. It's just going to go into it, and we'll talk about it a little bit. So the first one I have written down is The Spookiest House in Marzipan and Poultrygeist from Chowder. If I remember correctly, The Spookiest House in Marzipan was they got an order for some, which I don't know if you remember Chowder. Chowder is a show about a little bunny cat bear thing, which that's the running joke. We don't know what the hell he is. I already swore in the first 5 minutes. That's not good. Anyways, a little bunny cat bear thing who is the apprentice to a great chef in a city with really weird types of food and fruits and such. But in this episode, he is tasked with delivering to a very spooky house on the edge of a corner, or edge of a street corner. And the entire episode is about him trying to get the delivery there when the... Hello. Hi, honey. Well, the house is just too scary to go near. So it's okay. It's an alright Halloween special. Poultrygeist, I think each episode was 30 minutes. So I think this is like another year Halloween episode they did. But basically what it was Chowder, who had an uncontrollable appetite, found a rotted turkey behind the fridge in the kitchen. And as one does, he eats it, which leads him to be possessed by the turkey. It was a weird show. Leads him to be possessed by the turkey. And so they take the chef and his wife and the other worker take Chowder to a food graveyard where he has to exorcise the spirits. And by doing that, it's just him working out. So he works out on a bike, which exorcises the spirit of the evil poultry. A plus, like, title, Poultrygeist, like it was a parody of the Poltergeist. I liked that Halloween special better. I thought it was better than the first one. Next up, we've got the TV show 16, about 6 teenagers who just, their lives at the mall. I think its first episode was like a zombie movie. It was like its first episode that aired in America was like a zombie special, like a 45-minute special, which was good. I remember that one a lot. But when I looked into it, and I looked up the first Halloween special they had, was actually not that. It was called Boo Dude. and it was like the main characters working on Halloween night and stuff like that. And I mean, it was an alright episode. I mean, it wasn't anything to write home about. It wasn't my favorite episode, but I think it was an okay episode. I think my favorite thing about it was a character dressed up like Batman. I'm a huge Batman fan, but like they obviously couldn't just do Batman, so he wore the cowl and the muscle suit and the cape, but none of the colors matched. Like the bodysuit was red and the cowl was purple. He was almost like Batman Zero and R, almost, but not quite. Yeah.
Bible man.
What?
Bible man.
My girlfriend said Bible Man. Yes, it was Bible Bat, which sounds Bible Bat. It's a funny, I don't know, funny phrase. Next Halloween special to come up, SpongeBob Graveyard Shift. Now, if you don't remember that one, you probably do. It had to do with the hash slinging, the sash bringing, the dash singing, dinging, the cash ringing, linging, binging. What was its name, babe?
The hash-slinging slasher.
The hash-slinging slasher! Yeah, so in that one, SpongeBob and Squidward get put on the night shift duty, the graveyard shift, and Squidward starts making up a story to scare the hell out of SpongeBob, and it's comes true, and it's if you saw yesterday's episode, we talked about Nosferatu. They actually take a still of Nosferatu at the end of the episode and put him in there, and it's goofy, but it was interesting. That one's a pretty iconic. I don't. Was that one actually a Halloween episode, or was it just a scary episode?
SpongeBob, they're one and the same.
That's a fair point. Yeah, SpongeBob, they're one and the same. Because the other one, there was another one in like the first season of SpongeBob where he tries to be a ghost, and everyone says he's not scary because he's square, and so he starts shaving off Sponge until he's nothing but a brain. That scares the hell out of everyone. I don't remember what that one's called, but that one did scare the hell out of me when I was younger. I was like, whoa, it's a brain. Cool. Next up on the list, we've got Ed, Edd n Eddy Boo Ha Ha. Ed, Edd n Eddy. My mom did not care for me watching that show when I was younger because she didn't like the slapstick, but I loved slapstick comedy. It was very dumb but very funny. I mean, the boys were always mean to each other too, Ed and Eddy. They always picked on each other. But like, even as a kid, I knew that you're not supposed to hit people. It was just funny. Slapstick is funny. They were like the Three Stooges, but with modern times, you know. I enjoyed it a lot. But in Ed, Edd n Eddy Big Boo Ha Ha, I believe Eddie he finds a treasure map that his brother left behind that leads to like the best cul-de-sac to go trick-or-treating in, because apparently they give out like the best candy or something. So go on this huge goose chase to find it. Eddie's just greedy about the candy. Double D is just along for the ride because he's the nice one. And then Ed, who has been watching a 48-hour movie marathon and has fried his brain, thinks everyone they see is their costume. So like Jimmy, and all these other names are just other kids in the cul-de-sac if you've not seen the show. So Jimmy, the little, the foppish boy, is dressed as an alien and is being adorable, as he always is, when Ed thinks he's an actual alien, and so he beats him with a sign, terrified of him, because he's dressed as Lothar the Barbarian. Sarah is Medusa, I believe, so Ed just, like, he closes his eyes with clothespins like a normal psychopath would, and then puts her head in concrete, I think? It's something ridiculous. But he goes through all of them. It's just bizarre. Definitely watch that one. That was one of my favorites. I remember watching. Well, all the Ed, Edd n Eddy ones are. And I'm not going to spoil the ending for that one. Because, I mean, some of them I might, like... I spoiled with, like, Chowder and SpongeBob and stuff like that. But, like, some of my favorite ones, I don't want to spoil the ending because I want you to go see it. Because I feel like if more people go see it, there'll be more enjoyment for it. And like maybe if that one is, I don't know, if you guys like these videos a lot and you leave comments and stuff, maybe I'll come back and do another episode where it just focuses on that whole episode, like of Ed and Eddie or whatever, you know, and do more in depth. Next we got Gravity Falls Summerween. So Gravity Falls, the interesting thing about that is the show is supposed to take place over the course of one summer. And since that's the case, you can't have a Halloween episode because the show ran for a couple years. But if it takes place over one summer, you can't have a Halloween episode. So Alex Hirsch, being the creative genius that he is, said, how do we have a Halloween episode over the summer? What if we have a holiday called Summerween? It's just Halloween in the summer. And everyone at Disney said, can you do that? And Alex said yes. And they said, God, you're a fucking genius. And yes, he is. He's a very smart man. He's hilarious and very funny. So in the episode, Dipper, who has a crush on Wendy, him and Mabel are 12 at the time, and Wendy is 16, I think. Goodness gracious. But Mabel wants to go trick-or-treating because she says, oh, this will be like our last time because we're still kids. And Dipper's like, I'm too old for that. I don't want to go trick-or-treating. Well, if a person shows up at the front door wanting to trick-or-treat and Dipper slams the door in their face, trying to be cool, and this is also because Wendy invites him to a party, and Robbie's like teasing him for wanting to trick-or-treating, so Dipper's like, I'm not doing trick-or-treating, I'm cool, you know, I'm an adult. Well, the person who he slams the door in their face turns out to be the Summerween trickster, and puts a bounty on them for 1,000 pieces of candy or 500 pieces, some ridiculous amount of candy. And at first we're like, okay, that was weird. Well, then come to find out the Summerween trickster is a supernatural deity that eats people. And if you don't treat them with their Summerween spirit with respect, then the Summerween trickster will kill you and eat you. And there's a couple twists in there, but like, so the kids are like, okay, well, so much for your party. I don't want to die. Let's go get some candy. Because like the Summerween trickster's like, don't think about going and buy candy. You have to earn it as with the Summerween spirit. So and it's a good episode too. I won't spoil the ending for that one either. Next up, we got two more really good ones. Well, because there's one that I know is a Halloween, but the other one I'm not sure if it's a Halloween episode. Madam, I am busy. I am doing a show right now. You hop up in my lap? Come here. Come here. There you go. Pause. Okay. It's Astoria. She's sassy. Very sassy. Say hello, Astoria. Yes. So this is who you hear all the time. Whenever there's like interruptions in the video, you hear like a cat meowing in the back. It's her. She likes the attention. Where was I? Gravity Falls. Oh, next up. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Foster's Home, great show. Great shows. A lot of these are really good shows. I still would watch some of these. Some of them I don't know where to stream them from. But yeah, still good shows. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends had Nightmare on Wilson Way, so let me go over I'll go over the show a little bit more on this one. So Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends is a show where the main character, Mac, has his best friend, his imaginary friend, Blue, which is an amorphous little blob thing. That's sarcastic, funny, witty, stuff like that. Lives with him and his older bully of a brother and her mom in their apartment. And as Mac gets older, his mother and older brother convinces his mother that he needs to put his imaginary friend up for adoption. And in this universe, in the cartoon universe, imaginary friends, once they come into being, they're physical creatures that, like, I mean, I don't think they age. I don't think so. But, like, they become reality. Like, they're people in their own right. So, instead of just letting imaginary friends just die in the gutter, there's a place called Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. It's like a foster home for lost imaginary friends or imaginary friends whose kids just can't take care of them anymore or don't need them anymore. And then Madam Foster opens up the place for kids or imaginary friends to come in and live until they can be adopted again. And it's a really cute little show with amazing character designs. Each character has a uniqueness about them all around. It's crazy. What else? There's a core cast of main characters, but there's also several characters that are like, oh, you might see them once or twice. There's some you might never see again, but they're all over, and it's a really cool show. So, The Nightmare on Wilson Way was in the episode Blue, which is Mac's imaginary friend. Oh, so also with the storyline, Madam Foster agrees not to let Blue be adopted if Mac visits him every day after school at the foster home, and also help out with the foster home, and he does, and it's really cute. But so Blue is a pain in the butt sometimes and kind of a little twerp, and he decides to play a prank on Mr. Harriman, which he does every Halloween apparently, and the prank goes too far and gives Mr. Harriman a heart attack and kills him. Yeah. This scared the hell out of me when I was... I know I've said that like 4 times now, but like, little Seth was traumatized a lot by the cartoons he watched. But that one really freaked me out because like it really got dark after that. But he goes on and on. He tries getting Mr. Harriman to wake up, and it doesn't work. He tries framing other people, I think, at one point. And eventually, he just drags the body to behind the foster home and tries burying it under 1 foot of dirt, then goes inside. Now, one thing about Mac is a... he cannot have sugar. It makes him, like, insanely hyper. So every Halloween, Mac chains himself to the bed, and Blue makes sure he doesn't get any sugar. Well, unbeknownst to Blue, Harriman comes back as a zombie, and Frankie, who is the daughter, or the granddaughter of the Madam Foster, she takes a lot of the Foster's friends trick-or-treating. But when they get back, they find zombie Harriman, and all get infected, and Blue, terrified, runs up to Mac, and force feeds him candy and breaks the chain. Well, no, Mac breaks the chains because got a little bit of sugar in him. He just goes insane. He hulks out. And he just kind of sets Mac loose on everyone. And then it's revealed that Harriman didn't die of a heart attack. No one was infected because it was all a prank on Blue because they were sick of his pranks. And he's like, oh, well, that's good. I mean, Mac's running down the street without any clothes on. But at least we're not dead. And so it's just, it goes a little off the wall. And then they have to go get Mac, and that's what I remember that. The other one that I wrote down here, which I don't know if it's a Halloween episode, but I think it was. I think it was from another year, because that show ran for a couple years too. It's just called Blue. B-L-O-O-O-O-O-O. Which the character of Blue's name was Blue, spelled B-L-O-O. But the reason it was with so many O's is because there's an episode where Mac and Blue are playing in mud puddles in a storm, and everyone says you should go inside, you're going to get sick, and they're like, no, it'll be fine, we're having fun in the rain puddles. And they get sick, and so Mac gets sent home, or taken home sick, because Frankie, and Blue goes from being a blue blob to a white blob, leaking mucus, which is gross, but his voice starts to sound weird, and so he goes and stays in bed all night because he gets sick. Well, Wilt, Eduardo, and Coco, who are 3 of the other main characters, are watching scary movies with ghosts, which look a lot like Blue, the white blob. And he just is like trying to find someone to help him and stuff, and they think he's a ghost, and so it just gets crazy. Meanwhile, after Frankie drops Mac off on her way home, she goes through a whole ridiculous... It's a very crazy one, too. Definitely watch that episode. I shouldn't have spoiled the one with Harriman, but it was a good episode, too. Watch them both. They're still enjoyable, even if they're spoiled. But I'm not going to spoil the other ones. I'm going to do that. What do we got next? Amazing World of Gumball. I think there might have been a couple of this one as well. The one that comes to mind, though, is Halloween. There is a ghost party that Carrie is going to, Carrie is the ghost girl in there at the school, which if you haven't watched Gumball, the art style in that one is really cool, too. But, like, also it's just a good show as well. But there's a ghost girl who's, like, the punk emo girl at school. And Gumball, Darwin, and Anais want to go to a Halloween party that she's talking about. It's for, like, the cool ghosts. Well, they get there and it's just an abandoned haunted house. It's, like, empty. And so they're like, well, this seems boring. And Carrie says, well, it's only because you can't see what I see. And she gives them each a drop of this liquid that makes them temporary ghosts. And, like, the house is full of ghosts, and it's crazy. And, like, being temporary ghosts, they're having a lot of fun and everything. And as Gumball and Darwin tend to do, they blow stuff out of proportions and do dumb stuff sometimes. And end up becoming, like, they drink too much of the ghost juice and become, like, full-time ghosts, so they've got to get back to their body. It's weird, but watch that one. It's good, too. One sec. Okay, where were we? Next up, we've got The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy's Jacked Up Halloween. That was a fun one. It was I think it was an hour-long special. Not a full movie. They had a lot of... Because let's say The Wrath of the Spider Queen, I think, was another one, but I don't know if that was a Halloween or just a movie special. Jacked Up Halloween, Mandy goes as, like, Shakespeare with monster hands or something. I can't remember exactly what she dressed as. But Billy didn't have a good costume, and everyone kept giving him crap for his costume. So he took one of Grimm's cloaks and said he needs Grimm's scythe for Halloween. And Grimm's like, well, okay, but be careful, because anything removed with the scythe can never be reattached. Because they joke about, like, oh, well, we knock your head off all the time. And Grimm's like, well, yes, I'm a skeleton. I'm the Grim Reaper. I'm a skeleton. And the head comes off. But if you were to cut my head off with the scythe, you could never put it back on. It just doesn't go back on. Well, then the main villain of the show is introduced as Billy immediately goes, after being told to be careful with the scythe and be careful who you talk to it about, Billy immediately goes to the oldest, hauntedest house in Ennsville and knocks on the door of Jack O'Lantern, the namesake of Jack-o'-lanterns, who was a prankster who pissed off a king and was beheaded by Grimm after he was dead. And then he tried tricking the Grim Reaper into immortality. So Grimm said, all right, you can be immortal without a head, and chopped his head off. It was that simple. It's Mafia. That's just how it is. That's how things work in Mafia. Anyways, so the guy said, the Jack-o'-lantern says, where'd you get that scythe? It looks like a real scythe. And Billy says, of course it's a real scythe. I'm best friends with the Grim Reaper. This is his scythe. Anything it cuts off will remove it permanently. And Jack's like, I know. That's why I have a pumpkin for a head. And Billy's like, yeah, you're an idiot. You shouldn't take this from me, even though I'm like 1/3 your height and not as strong as you. And so Jack says, okay, I'll take it from you. And Billy's like, shucky darn, I wish you hadn't done that. Okay, I'll just hang out with you for a while. So Jack raises an army of pumpkin demons and decides to use it to take over the world. And then Irwin, who has been trying to woo Mandy this entire time, is like, also his costumes were sucking, but he was just choosing really dumb costumes that he thought would make him look hot or sexy to Mandy, and she thinks he's an idiot anyways and doesn't like him. So she's like, okay, no. Anyways, but so finally, like, he shows up in a cool night costume, which scares Jack and causes him to hurt himself, but then also causes Irwin. It's just watch it. It's weird, as most of Billy and Mandy is. I love the show, but it's a weird episode, weird movie. But it has a good, like, they brought in a pretty big named act. I think the guy who plays Jack O'Lantern is the guy who voiced, What is his name? Babe, do you remember Jurassic Park?
I've never seen it.
Never seen Jurassic Park?
Yes.
Have you seen Seinfeld?
No.
I think the guy plays Newman. I think it's the guy who voices it. He's got a really cool voice, but yeah, I don't know. It's ridiculous.
Can you Google it?
Huh?
Can you Google it?
Well, that is a good idea. Billy and Mandy's. Hey, it's like I knew I was talking about it. Skynet's here. Billy, Mandy's Jacked Up Halloween. Actors. Oh, come on. Wayne Knight. That's, yeah. I don't know if you're able to see that with the screen of my phone. That guy. I like his voice. I think he's a really good voice. He's a good actor, but I like his voice too. Next up. I think Billy and Mandy had several Halloween episodes too. That's just the one that stuck out in my mind. Oof. Okay. So the last one is probably my favorite Halloween episodes from any cartoons growing up. So I'm going to save it for last. I'm going to do the honorable mentions. The two shows with honorable mentions Halloween episodes that I didn't really mention because I didn't really get into them until I was older. Simpsons, Treehouse of Horrors, and Bob's Burger Halloween episodes. Starting with Simpsons Treehouse of Horror honorary mentions. This also kind of relates to my favorite Halloween episodes, number one slot. Which also I said I wasn't going to do it like a tier, which I didn't, but I also did save the best one for last, but that was accident. Anyways, Treehouse of Horrors does horror anthology, essentially is what it is. So like every Halloween they do a 3-part episode where each part is its own story kind of thing, but it's never canon to the series, which I think is really funny. But it's also really cool because it lets you bring in new creators who can do all kinds of stuff. So that's why I like the Treehouse of Horrors, because they would parody all kinds of stuff. Like they had a Coraline episode after Coraline the movie came out. They had all kinds of stuff like that. And then Bob's Burgers. Bob's Burgers, I love the entire series. I've got the Burger Book cookbook. I've got all kinds of stuff in that. But one of my favorite things about the Bob's Burger Halloween episodes was each Halloween episode they did different costumes. Like one Halloween episode, Gene does. His thing was he liked to do mashup costumes. So like one of my favorites of his was, what was it? Andre 3000 the Giant. So he was a mixture of Andre 3000 and Andre the Giant, which I thought was adorable and funny. I don't think you could get away with it like you could get away with it today because they're all white, but I thought it was really funny at the time. I mean, at the time, I still think it's hilarious, but I digress. Louise, the little Hellraiser that she is, in one episode she's Edward Scissorhands. She tapes a bunch of scissors to her fingers. But then another episode she's the dragon with the girl tattoo. So she dresses up as a dragon and she just draws a little like a tattoo of a girl on her arm. Like a lot of her costumes were a little like older than her age would suggest because she's Louise. There's one where she's dressed like a secret agent with a baby Bjorn on her, so she's Jason Bjorn. God, that's such a good show. I love that show. One more sec. I ran to grab our duty buddy. My girlfriend and I are big Bob's Burgers fans, and this is our duty buddy.
Glows in the dark.
It does. It glows in the dark. A little. But we keep Coochie Koopy up on a shelf. In the bathroom. Okay, so I've tap danced around it a lot. I've gone through a lot of my favorite ones from growing up. My absolute favorite Halloween episodes from any series were the Terror Tales from the Park from Regular Show. If you don't know Regular Show, you probably know the catchphrase. Regular Show. It's anything but. Because it's anything but regular. And by the end of the series, holy crap, was that accurate. The show was insane. First season, the transformation of the show is bizarre. Season 1, it's a bird and a raccoon who are best friends and work together at a park for a gumball machine that is sentient and talks. If you've never seen the show, does that make any sense at all? It sounds like I'm on acid trying to explain a story to you. It doesn't make any sense. But it's hilarious because the show is amazing. That's what the show is. It's there are so many memes where it's like Mordecai and Rigby, the two main characters, the bird and the raccoon, go to do something simple. Cut to eldritch horror. Oh no, Benson's gonna fire us. But I mean, if you survive, that's every episode of the show. Is something insane happens because the two guys wanted to do something goofy. And as the series went on, it got crazier. Like season 2, I mean, from season 1 to season, I think it was 6, it was pretty much always the same. It was just working at the park, something insanely bizarre happens, status quo is restored at the very end. It's a show about two slackers who are hilarious and work together, and it's a great show. But the season 6 is where stuff started to get weird. Like a dome was put up around the park, and they were tested for all these things, and it was like more started to be shown. And then by the end of the series, so like I said, season 1, 2 people working in a park for a gumball machine. You know, it's very simple. Season, I think it's 8 or 9? Whatever. Last season, a dome around the park turns it into a rocket ship, launches it into space, where a giant battle for the galaxy is held up in space, as an army of parks from around the world all go to space to experience life in parks on other planets and learn how to be better parks on Earth. I want whatever J.G. Quintel and all of them were smoking, because that is insane. Whoever came up with that idea is... I hope they got an Emmy, because that show is amazing. I love that cartoon. It is hilarious. It's one of my favorite cartoons. Favorite TV shows, really, of all time. But, I mean, the thought that went into that show is insane. And now I know I'm just gushing just about the show and not even about the Halloween episodes. But holy crap. When I first sat down to watch that show and they said regular show, it's anything but, I was like, yeah, because it's a bird and a raccoon and they're doing crazy stuff and they work at a park. It's really crazy. It's anything but regular. And then by the end of the series, I was going, holy shit, yeah, no, it's anything but regular. It is not a regular show. The name is what's the term, misnomer? It's yeah. Sorry, I'm more congested right now. But the Terror Tales, the Halloween episodes of the regular show. Much like The Simpsons, Terror Tales in the Park they did it 6 times, where it was their Halloween special, where there would be an overarching story where something was going on, and they would be like, well, it's Halloween, and we're waiting for something to happen, like we're on our way to a party, or we're hanging out in a haunted forest, or we're in space looking for some shit, I don't know, but they're doing different stuff, I can't remember all of them. So that's like the overarching stories, and then they're like, well, what should we do? Now it's Halloween, and we're doing some stuff, what should we do? And they're like, well, let's tell some scary stories. And they'll gamble, like, I'll bet all of my Halloween candy this year that I can tell a better scary story than you. And then they all tell scary stories, and it's usually you only hear 3 of them, but it's like it was good. Like, there's a character named Muscle Man, and then in one of them they're talking about, like, one of the guys gets turned into a house, which, okay, that's regular show for you, bizarre, but he's turned into a house, and why? Because he pissed off a wizard by playing Ding Dong Ditch and egging his house, and so the wizard said he'll pay him back exactly how he paid, like, how he was dealt, or some shit like that. So he turns Rigby into a house, which, okay. And then the others are like, well, what are you going to do now? You can't, I mean, you're just going to live here as a house on the park? And he's like, yeah, I guess. Well, then the phone inside the house of Rigby, the guy who egged the wizard's house, a phone that grew out of, like, inside of him, rings, and it's a wizard saying he's going to come and get him tonight. Well, that night, the wizard does show up and kills everyone except for the houseboy. And then he appears outside as Rigby's like, oh, you've killed all my friends, and they kill me now, I'm ready for it. So the wizard says, "This is it," and does like this huge spell. And Rigby closes his eyes, and when he opens it, the wizard just eggs him. And then opens a giant egg over his house, and it just cracks. It is. I love this show so much, and I know I sound exasperated, like I'm sick of it, but it's just I cannot put into words just how much I love regular show and the Halloween special. Well, the show in general, I love the whole thing, but the Halloween specials are one of my favorite parts of the series because they are so hilarious. Yeah, that's. I gotta end it on that. I can't say anything. Babe, do you have any Halloween specials you remember from when you were younger?
I'm more thinking about Halloween games.
Ooh.
On Cartoon Network.
Well, come on over here.
Oh God. Hold on.
You're good.
I just got cuddled up. Oh gosh, Halloween specials.
One sec. Okay, so my girlfriend Abbey of Abbey Evans Artistry or Morbid Beauty does not remember a whole lot of Halloween episodes or Halloween specials, but she remembers a lot of old Halloween special games and stuff from like Cartoon Network. You said.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember for the life of me what they were. I recall there was one game, and it may have been like a Scooby-Doo-esque game where I think you had to collect candies, or maybe I'm thinking of Kids Next Door.
I liked Kid Next Door, but I don't remember the Halloween episode. I remember there was one.
Well, so Cartoon Network, I don't know what the website is like now, but they used to have these fun like little games and shorts and stuff. And I know there was one that was Halloween based that you had to go around and collect candy. There was a Scooby-Doo one. I think it was about avoiding zombies though, which technically is Halloween-esque in its own way. I was trying to look it up because yeah, I mean it's all the new shows. I've also had a drink this evening, so therefore I cannot recall all things Halloween. But I do recall, I was just thinking about this episode of Teen Titans, and I don't think it's necessarily a Halloween episode, but I think it fits within the category, and I do not remember the episode's called, but it terrified me, and it still terrifies me, but basically it's this episode where they decide, like all the Titans decide to watch this horror movie, and it's about this dark cloaked creature. I think it has many arms, but basically Raven, who's all like, oh, I'm dark and spooky, is actually absolutely terrified of this movie, and she ends up dreaming about it to the point it basically becomes corporeal. I know in Supernatural there's a term for that. I don't know if it's an actual term for when you think about something enough it becomes corporeal basically. But she's so scared of this creature that she basically makes it alive, and it chases them around the house and basically snatches a few of them up until Raven realizes this is not real. I'm just scared of it, and it does disappear. But it's this horrifying creature, and like Teen Titans is a silly show with its sense of seriousness. But that episode probably is the scariest episode. And I don't know if they would consider it a Halloween episode, but they did watch a horror movie.
That sounds like a Halloween episode to me, yeah.
So I feel like it fits into the gist of that. Also, I like how you just see the trees behind our apartment back there. But, I mean, here's the thing. You guys saw yesterday I was doing skeleton makeup, and I'm a bit... I do horror artistry, wounds, and things like that. I am super scared of horror movies, haunted houses, all those things. I currently work in a haunted house. Logically, I don't make a lot of sense. So my remembrance as far as horror episodes go don't stick super well on me. I would say every episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog is a horror episode, especially the Return the Slab one, the King Ramses. So
King Ramses! The man in gauze.
Yeah, I used to sleep with my blinds closed because I was so afraid he was going to be outside my window. Did I steal a slab? No! But here we are.
Return the slab.
Okay, if you do that, I will have to murder you.
Will suffer my curse.
Okay, and that's my exit. I'm gonna go play a game. I mean, about zombies, but it's rather silly because he's
How dare you try and scare me? I'm gonna go play something scary.
scary games is different in my mind for some reason versus, like, I play Resident Evil 8 as a fun, comforting thing, but I cannot watch horror movies by myself. Someone psychologically diagnosed me. I can't afford therapy right now.
I love you.
I love you too. Your mask is terrifying right now.
Woohoo!
I'm gonna go lay down.
You heard it here, folks. So that was Abby. Thank you for joining us, B. But
Eat your raviolis.
she's eating my raviolis. I love this woman. Okay. I said I love this woman. What? I said it like Moxie. Well, I think that's going to do it for us here. What's your favorite Halloween episode? I just realized I don't think I've not really asked any like interacting questions in the last videos. Maybe that's why I've not been getting any comments. What's your favorite Halloween special that you remember from when you were a kid? Was there a cartoon that you watched? I mean, did you grow up just watching like Charlie Brown specials and the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown? That counts. I hadn't really thought about it until just now, but yeah, that would count. What is your favorite Halloween special from when you were a kid? What cartoons did you watch, and what Halloween special scared you when you were younger, or sticks out in your memory whenever you think about it? All those things. Which Halloween special was your favorite, or sticks out in your memory the most? Comment down below in the comments. Thank you so much for joining us. If this is your first video with us, thanks for sticking around this long. If this is not your first video with us, if you've been here since the beginning, or in the second or the third one, either one, thank you so much for coming back. I cherish all of you so, so much. If we keep gaining more and more subscribers, maybe I'll open up a Patreon account. It would be really fun if I could do this kind of stuff full time and then focus all my effort into making these videos more entertaining and more fun and enjoyable. I think that's going to do it for us here tonight, though. Until next time, which will be tomorrow, remember, you are loved, you are cherished, and no matter what, sit back, relax, and enjoy the darkness around you. Take care, guys. Good night, and I love you.